Awesome. So we're here in office with Garrett Campbell, founder and CEO of Objectionly. I wanted to have you in. I've had the pleasure of obviously being a part of your story a bit here, but also kind of just seeing you guys do some incredible stuff. So I want to just have you on, have a little bit of a conversation. Why don't you just give a quick introduction as far as kind of who you are, what you're working on, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah. My name's Garrett Campbell. I'm co-founder and CEO of Objectionly. So Objectionly is essentially an AI software that integrates with any call recording software and watches a business's sales calls to understand why people are buying or not buying. So you basically save time doing call review and just understand how you need to adapt your sales process and your marketing process to increase conversions. So sales managers are spending their time in their sales committees on the right stuff, and they can coach the reps in their team to pull more deals. So
Yeah, awesome. Well, basically just trading money for more money using your software, right? Well, yeah, I guess give us context as well. I know you haven't, been in the software space your entire life. Yeah. There's been a little bit of a journey getting there. So rewind the clock a bit. I think when we first met, some funny lore here. I think we first got connected maybe like 2022, 2023 on Twitter.
yeah,
X now, but Twitter back in the day. Just some mutual friends, and then randomly I ended up coming to Chicago summer of 2023. We ended up going to your apartment, doing some things, fun. But I guess give us some people the backstory. Like, how did you get into this current kind of space you're in right now, and kind of like what that journey has been on your side?
Yeah, so I ran a sales training and recruiting business for like 4 years. So we placed like 500 sales reps into like hundreds of different teams. And like, what was interesting is like, we're doing sales recruiting. So we can make sure that the sales rep is good, but that doesn't mean like there's other variables that decide if a sales rep or a sales team actually performs. So like, we would place a rep with like one company and they'd be like, he only closed like 40 grand in his first like month or two. Like he's really far below KPI. He's not very good. Like we're not really happy. We want to swap this person out. I'm like, I thought he was good, but like whatever. Happy to make you happy. Like we could swap this person out and give you someone new.
Yeah.
But we'd place that exact same salesperson into like another company. And they'd close like 250 grand in deals in their first month. I'm like, we freaking love this guy. Like he's amazing. And I'm like, all right, I knew this guy was good.
Yeah.
And I was like so obsessive over making sure clients got results and we're obviously happy if they're paying us for sales reps. So I interviewed like a psycho, like 100 like sales managers or business owners. And I'm like, what's your revenue per sales rep? And like what actually happens when you like onboard a new rep? Like how do you onboard them? How do you manage them? What's happening? In the back of my head, I was like, I was just running a service-based business and there's just a lot of headache that goes into scaling payroll, like not having recurring revenue. Um, so in the back of my mind, I'm like, I want to build a software. Um, so yeah, I interviewed all these people, and basically what it came down to is people with the highest revenue per sales rep, they're doing like 20 hours a week for call review. There's like watching calls like crazy, like 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
And then obviously the ones with the lowest revenue were not really listening to sales calls much, and they wanted to, but they're just like, it's just so damn time consuming that we just like can't like do it. Like we're the founder managing our own team. Like we don't have time to do this. We don't have a dedicated sales manager. And the ones doing like 20 hours a week, we're paying a sales manager like 200 grand a year, and half of their week is going to just staring at Zoom calls. Like, this is not the best use of time, and it's super redundant, repetitive. Everyone hates doing it. So they were trying to like tie together like, we'll have a Zoom transcript.
Yeah. Walk us through that workflow, like the janky kind of like, what was
It was so crazy because a lot of people were doing it. So they would like Zoom call transcript, use Zapier to send you transcript to ChatGPT. They have a little prompt and they're like,
yeah.
hey, analyze this call. Like, why didn't they buy? And then they'd zap that into their Slack channel of just like one channel every call. So they're getting like hundreds of notifications a day every time a call happens. And they're like, it doesn't really work. It's normally wrong. We've literally muted the Slack channel because it's so annoying. But like sometimes it's like kind of helpful. And I'm like, why are you guys doing this? Why didn't you just like, there's probably a software that does this. Like I've heard of like Gong. And they're like, oh, like we talked to them and Gong's going to be like 300 grand a year for like our sales team size. And like, we do like 4 million a year. Like we can't fathom paying that much for a software. So I was like, a light bulb kind of went off and I'm like, okay, so there's no like SMB to like mid-market priced solution for the market. Like this needs to exist. So that's what kind of got the wheels turning about, actually building what we're building.
Yeah. And what was this time frame? So walk us through. I know you started in your previous kind of sales recruiting business. What year was that when you started?
So probably 2020. I guess.
2020. And then what was that light bulb moment for kind of the creation of Objectionly there?
Yeah, I mean, I ran the business for 4 years. We had kinda capped out a little bit revenue-wise, and, like, we would just have, like, 40 grand, 50 grand a month in expenses, and we had no recurring revenue, so it's like,
Start from zero.
we make 100 grand in a month, and it's awesome. It's like, "Oh, we profited 50," and then it's the first of the month, so it's like, "Alright, we're negative 50. Like, let's restart, sell our ass off, and, like, try to get, north of expenses to actually," and it was just, like, such a hamster wheel. I'm like, I feel like I'm working so hard and nothing's actually compounding, which we could have tweaked and adjusted stuff in the business to make it compound a little bit better, but it just felt like an uphill battle.
Yeah.
And it was just so dependent upon humans, like not only just a service-based business, but literally recruiting. Uh, that I was just frustrated when someone gets sick and then that affects their sales performance. And then a business is frustrated and wants a refund. So I was just like, I was really tired of it.
Yeah.
And I felt like I didn't have enterprise value compounding as I was working more. Like it was just like working a cash flow like job to where
Yeah.
I'm just on this hamster wheel. So I was fed up with it. And I have some friends, obviously, like we're good friends. I have other friends that run softwares and they're like, dude, you're working harder than we are. And like, we're in a better position than you are. So I'm like, okay, shit, I need to, really delve into this. So it was just frustration with service-based business in general.
Yeah, I mean, what I really want to highlight is like it wasn't overnight. Like, okay, I think I had this idea, and then poof, off the races. It was like literally 4 years of in the trenches every day, like dealing with these business owners, understand their pain points. Like,
Yeah.
I know I've had this story with you like multiple times, but like actually spend the time looking at recordings, like what's actually going on here. That actually gave you the insight. If you're like, okay, this is the exact problem for the exact type of person, and this is the exact solution that I'm already kind of doing.
Yeah.
And then it was like kind of a no-brainer from
Yeah.
there. I think a lot of times people are a hammer in search of a nail as opposed to just going deep into space and like really, really internalizing what those problems are. I think you did I don't know if it's intentional or not, but yeah, they're doing a really good job like finding that problem.
Yeah, I just think after obviously building this company and being exposed to more people, and even we're on the search for a technical co-founder, like the amount of people that are like, okay, I built this cool thing. I wonder if it solves the problem. And I'm like, you're just building stuff and wasting time for no reason. And like, make sure you understand the problem like the back of your hand and there's actual demand where people will pay something for it.
Yeah.
That's why I did 100 of those interviews. It's like, yeah, I wanted to optimize the recruiting business, but I also was like, I've, I've been saying I'm going to build a software for 2 years and I've not actually fucking done it.
Yeah.
So like, it was kind of market research, and I was like, "If I built something like this, like, would you pay for it?" I'm like, "Dude, we throw a couple grand at that. Like, that's literally it could boost our revenue or our close rates by 10%, which could make us this." So like, yeah, it's a no brainer.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, this is worth building because I have people that will give me money."
Exactly. Exactly. And that's kind of like going into my next point as well. It's like what was that start with them more as a firm? So I know we started with a prototype and it was previously called Conversion IQ.
Yeah,
And just kind of starting slow because I think a lot of times people have an idea and it's like, "Oh, how do I go 0 to 100?" So I think the way that and we didn't even tell you this, but the way you're going about it was super smart as far as I know that there's demand here. I know that like people will pay for this if it's launched, but it has to be done well, right?
yeah,
And that's a process. So kind of walk us through like what that process came to was like, well, come to us and like we'll be help you with in that first kind of step there.
yeah. So I mean, like I was saying, I for 2 years I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna build a software," but it just I don't know. In my head, I was like, "It's gonna be way too expensive. I don't know how to code. I don't even know what problems could even exist, and I'm so uneducated in the world of software. Like, it's probably just like not gonna go well for me." Um, I'm like, I don't have like money for investors to like even like start this. So I just thought it was too expensive. I didn't really know what I was doing. So I just kind of dig myself a hole. So that was just like my mental, I don't know, like headspace for so long to kind of like keep putting it off. Um, but then yeah, like I think just kind of the news and everything of AI being like, oh, it's easier to like make software and stuff was like definitely like making it feel easier to do. Um, and obviously, like, I just came to you guys and I'm like, this is kind of my vision. Like, what's this going to cost? Like, what does this process actually kind of look like? And I was like, I was hyping this up in my head to be something way bigger than it actually was to be. Like, you guys, like, I knew the problem, but I'm not technical. So
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, I have like 100 ideas for features. And they're like, dude, like,
We're like,
breathe. Like, what is actually necessary? Like, probably not this, probably not this. Like, you can make more features in the future, but like, what's the like require of literally MVP? Like,
yeah,
what is viable, like necessary to collect payment? So you guys kind of like shave down my idea to like a core, like this is what you actually need. Um, yeah, pricing was super reasonable. So that's what kind of helped, bring it to life. Like I actually talked to other like no code agencies prior. Um, and it just didn't even make sense to be on a no code platform, and they were charging crazy prices.
I think they're charging more than we charge you for I'm literally doing to build the at that. Which is interesting. I mean, there's obviously a lot of different players in this space, but I think right now, like you're saying, it's a crazy time in the development space because I think we had the conversation last night as well. It was like
Yeah.
there's so many tools available now for people to get started, but the question is like, do you have the context to be able to like know what to build, right? As opposed to just building everything. I was just talking to Fletcher, one of our members of our growth team, and he had a call with someone her today. Has like this massive code base that he built with Claude Code, and it's like, I want to do this, this, and this for like, okay, that's cool and all, but you don't understand from a technical standpoint what's even feasible because all these different tools they can show you a front end that looks great and like the buttons do different things, but on the back end, is it even functional? Especially if you're selling into like regulated industries with compliance, etc. You don't want to go out to market and then end up with a lawsuit where you're exposing people's data and all these different things, but it's a really interesting time because it then enables the people that do have the context, do have the expertise to kind of outsource the hands, but not outsource the brain. Where I understand, hey, this is the way to architect this system. These are the features that we think are going to be the most asymmetric, right, from a value versus effort standpoint. And then from there, you leading on like someone like you as subject matter expert, you'd be like, okay, this is the actual problem. This is what people are facing. How can we create something that tackles that first? Yeah, first and foremost, because I know obviously there's tons of time afterwards, which you have revenue in the door, which you have investment to add additional features. I think you've done a really good job of that.
Yeah.
Walk us through like what those initial features look like on the Objectionly platform, like how things are progressing as far as the roadmap right now.
Yeah, it's super interesting. So initially, I'm trying to think of like the most core MVP, what it even was. So initially, it was literally like you upload calls manually. We didn't even have call integrations, I don't believe. Um,
Well, I want people to think about that for a second. Like the whole purpose of this software is to help these teams like streamline their process, and people were paying you without even any integration to their hardware software.
no, it was literally like imagine copy paste, copy paste, copy paste every sales call transcript into our platform. We were doing that on their behalf. So like we had a human in the loop, but yeah, like it's like literally make an actual MVP, like minimum viable product. It was as minimum as it could have got. And I told our first customers, I'm like, it's an MVP. Like you are literally our first user. I'm gonna give you a crazy discount. If you don't like it, I'll refund you. I think it could solve your problem. Like, let's give it a run. So like, expectations were obviously set up front, but it was literally we'd get their call transcript and we basically just would put in buckets. Like, okay, we're gonna figure out what objections happen in this call. So it's like we would have these buckets of like time or money objection or like a decision maker objection or like just the normal kind of objections that can come up. Then we do the same thing for pain points, buying reasons, and aspirations. So literally the whole software was just like a top 5 list of those 4 categories.
Yeah.
And then it would show you per call, like where those came up in like a specific call. Because if you think about reviewing a sales call manually, like you have to watch an entire 45 minutes just to really get to the core problem of whether the deal closed or not. Like that actual moment is actually what's valuable. So I'm like, if we could just identify that moment,
Yeah.
then we can cut the car review time by like 80% because they can just get to the point that matters.
Yeah.
So that was the MVP, was that.
Yeah. What was the response to that, like in the market?
So crazy, but our first user, I knew they had the most pain, so I knew they'd probably get the most out of it, even if it wasn't crazy. They were doing between like 1 million to like 1.5 million or so a month for 6 months, and they were kind of flatlined there. And it was because their head of sales was managing 18 reps by himself.
Okay. Yeah.
And they're running 2,000 sales calls a month.
Yeah. That's not enough hours in the day.
No, he was like, dude, he's like, I focus on my top guys. That's kind of it. Like the bottom guys, like there's so much room for improvement. I should be doing a better job as a manager. I'm just flooded. So they tried out. They did 1.4 in June. They did 2.9 in July once they started working with us. And he's like, no bullshit. I hop into sales team meetings or like one-on-ones, and I only have time to meet with them twice a month. So I hop in and I'm like, what's up? Yeah, I see your close rate. Like, why aren't you closing? Like, what's the actual problem? And he said it would take him 45 minutes in that one-on-one just to figure out what the problem is. and then he'd have 15 minutes to like
to fix it.
coach and give
Yeah.
feedback. So it's like he was spending meeting time figuring out what the problem was, which is just an opinion from their rep who doesn't want to get fired. Uh, instead of like getting the actual facts and just going into the meeting being like, here's the problem, here's the solution, here's coaching on how to fix it. So he's like, when I used Objectionly, I could just know the problem. So the whole hour was just spent solving it.
Yeah.
And that alone helped us boost close rates because I just was in the loop on limited time. So
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I feel like just that alone is like proof of efficacy of the software. And
Yeah.
that very very early on customer before you even have some of the current features you have on it right now. That software was ugly. It was not very. You've been doing like a huge. You and Jeff, of course, have been doing a huge push as far as adding additional features that like really add value to the clients. What are some of the things on the roadmap that are being like fleshed out right now?
yeah, I mean, literally just this morning, I was talking with my technical co-founder and CTO about, and it's funny, we built this whole, like call scoring feature to where we'll like assign a score out of 100, and then like map out the sections of a sales call, like how well do they build rapport and like set the agenda and get the pain points and their like aspirations, and then like how well do they pitch and handle objections and like establish next steps. Built this whole complex thing, and literally people are just like, yeah, I just want to know like if they bought or not, and like why they didn't buy, and then like what the rep could do better. And we're like, well, we could make it simpler.
Exactly.
And they're like, we just want that to go into Slack. So we're just literally simplifying that feature to just like a very simple, kind of heavier coaching feedback in the feature, in app, and then also with the Slack integration, so they get like weekly reports either per call or weekly ones.
Yeah. No, it's good to see kind of the roadmap progressing there. I mean, one of the things that we like to harp on as far as like how we age our clients, that we definitely don't want people to be locked into like that kind of strict roadmap. So all of our engagements are independent in the sense that, hey, well, let's tackle this problem at hand first. Let you guys do what you have to do, and then come back to us if or when you need more help. And so we obviously help with that initial kind of prototype and the MVP. You guys really did your. I won't take any credit for that at all. Kind of what you guys have done in the interim, but now coming back and having conversations of how we can expand your guys' development team with Jack. So talk to us about like kind of what that process has been like recently here, and kind of what the plan is going forward on that.
Yeah, totally. So I think we just hit a point, as a software to where like we brought in a good flood of users and we have like crazy demand, honestly, like more than we can even handle, which is why we've made some key hires recently. Um, to where like people are like, hey, like I really need this feature or this thing to happen, or else I won't buy, or I'm gonna churn if you guys don't have this feature. And I'm like, it's gonna take us like 2 weeks to get the thing done we're working on right now, and then we can do that next. So it's like we just needed our development time to be so much faster to push out everything that we need to get pushed out. And with, my CCO like coding everything himself, like it was just impossible to move as fast as we needed to move and as fast as customers needed us to move. So yeah, we brought on a full-time, like full stack developer from you guys who's a beast so far. We got him on board like this week. So we just move as fast as we need to move to keep up with how much demand we have.
Yeah, I like that approach as well. Like kind of taking things like the minimum effective dose, or just having you guys' team being able to handle whatever you could until you couldn't, and then from there figuring out how to build out that kind of expansion. One thing that we talked about last night as well is like the different roles you guys are now hiring for. Yeah, at the executive level, which I think is going to be massive in terms of growth. You want to talk about that a little bit as well?
Totally. Yeah. So we just brought on, this guy's a beast. I'm really excited about him. His laptop just got in today. He's our founding head of client success. He literally was the first CSM at SEMrush 8 years ago for like a one specific product line that they have. Really messy systems for it. They didn't really have anything dialed in. They're like, hey, can you come in and just like fix our whole CS department? Stayed with them for 8 years until they got acquired in November for $1.9 billion from Adobe. And then, private equity firms work, he became available on the job market. So yeah, we snatched him up because right now I'm doing marketing, sales, and all client success, customer support, type stuff. So it's just a lot for me to manage, and like I just can't keep up with everything. So I really needed someone to just build out the whole department who's like been there, done that. Just to reduce churn, like increase, ARPA, like how much people are spending with us every month, get more people on annual, just really take care of our customers, turn them into affiliates. Like there's a lot that he could do, and he's just been there, done that. So he's really gonna kind of give him the keys to the whole department to really build this out, because he's more intelligent than me when it comes to building out some of the stuff. And I think we've been able to make some of these key hires from, raising the round that we're raising
Yeah.
now. So
That goes to the very next thing I was gonna ask you. A lot of people that we have, like, on our list are either first-time founders, they're bootstrapping, or, they're looking at raising their first round. Help us understand, and I always tell them, like, I can't really give you a one-size-fits-all answer because everyone's path is gonna be different. But just from your experience, what has it been like kind of going about that fundraising process and kind of where you guys are at right now in terms of that as well?
it's been super interesting. I bootstrapped my last business. Like I don't know anyone who's ever raised like VC. Like it was such a new world for me. Um, what I'll say is go get revenue first. Like the terms that you get when you have some cash in the door is insane. Like we're raising like $1 million, like a $10 million valuation. So we're only diluting ourselves 10%. I think trying to, at least for me, is my personal philosophy is like I just want to stay north of 50%. So yeah, I've heard the horror stories of VCs, taking over companies and firing CEOs and kicking them off the board and all types of crazy stuff like that. Like that's my biggest fear. So only diluting myself 10%, obviously, and the whole team, uh, allows us to have the capital to scale, while simultaneously not diluting ourselves too heavily to where, we're not going to go raise a bunch of crazy rounds like A, B, C, D, L, N, O, G, and all those. But as far as the process of raising, I'll say that never raising before and then going directly to VCs was such an uphill battle. Um, but going to angels and getting cash in the door that way, smaller checks, like we raised everything on a safe, which I highly recommend, but you can literally, it's not as complex as it might think. Like you go to the Y Combinator platform and they have a little like safe contract template, download that bad boy. We just like swap out the names, the dates, and the investment amounts. Sign out a good amount of angels. We got a good, chunk of the kind of initial capital through the door. I mean, now conversations are so much easier with the VCs. So, no, I highly recommend raising, even if it's a small percentage. And I was very baffled at the valuation that was like normal because I'm coming from service-based businesses where I'm like, wait, this is the valuation you guys are cool with? Because
Exactly.
I initially talked with the VC and it was like, oh, we're going to raise like 500 grand at like a $5 million valuation. And she's like, go for revenue. Like that's like pre-revenue stuff. I'm like, so you should have raised $1 million at 10 and have the same dilution. And I was like, I could do that. $10 million. It's like, we're doing like, 6 grand, 7 grand. And they're like MRR. Like, I can get away with that. It's like, oh yeah. Like that's nothing. Like
Yeah.
in SF, like you wouldn't believe the stuff we come across.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of my experience overall.
Completely different worlds. I mean, I think one of the most golden nuggets you just dropped there is that you have so much. I think founders don't realize how much leverage they now have when they have revenue and they have a problem that's worth solving. Because you got to think, flip it like this, right? The VC's job is to invest. Like they have to find companies that they can invest in. Otherwise, they're going to go out of business, right? So they need you if you're that person, right? They need you or they need them. And so that leverage in your back pocket is huge. I think you guys have done a really good job of that. So yeah, I guess kind of running things up here, like what are the next steps as far as your guys' journey? Obviously, like I said, we have staffing a team with you. It only helps that accelerate on the roadmap velocity. But what are just general next steps as far as how we go with the rest of the year here?
Yeah, I think it's we're just obsessively listening to our customers on like what features they want and don't want and what they like and don't like about the software and just making the voice of customer really dictate product roadmap. So listening to them, building what they want. And then apart from that, like goal is to get to like 300 grand in MRR by end of year. We'll finish raising by end of February. So that capital will kind of help fuel growth and hires that we need to get there. Um, okay. That's really honestly, we just need to keep doing what we're doing and
Yeah.
keep on adding customers and keep on making the onboarding experience and activation experience as simple and easy as possible for people. Build more integrations with more call recording softwares. There's unfortunately hundreds of call recording softwares that we have to integrate with all of them. So luckily we're in the Zapper App Store, so that makes that a lot easier now. But just keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah. I mean,
And better.
that sounds like a good plan to me. And then okay, the last question selfishly here is like, how would you say your experience has been with the Bedmore team? Would you recommend working with us, any non-technical founders or getting started in here?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't come back for a dev if it was bad. No, it was really, really, really helpful. Like what I'll say is, A, like work with them. Uh, Phenomenal experience. They're extremely professional. Everything is very process driven. They've cranked out so many, software apps that they just know. They know more than you would know, regardless of your domain expertise or whatever. Like they're not here to like extend dev hours and like make things more than they be, they're not going to build what you want. And that's a good thing in the sense of I came with hundreds of features. And if we would have built that now that I know how our customers actually use the app and what they care about and don't care about, it would have been 97 pointless features. Like none of those are on our technical roadmap now at all. And I had no idea, not being technical, how complex some of those actually were to build. So yeah, I think they'll help you take the idea in your head and kind of chop it down to like what's necessary and then what are features that you guys can build in the future. Make it cost effective, make it good time wise to actually get something out into the market. And they also have the knowledge to be like, hey, like I need to hire more devs. Like, how do I do that? What should I look for? Like, what's good? What's bad? What's a red flag? What country should I hire from? Should I hire in the US? Should I hire overseas? How much do I pay devs? Like, stuff like that was insanely valuable. And like, lastly, just I think when you have a software idea in your head, you have a couple routes. It's like you can either hire someone, US based that you just pay a salary. Like, you're either going to pay in equity, in time, or in money. And it's like you have the route of paying someone US based salary, which you're going to burn a hole in your pocket. You're not going to be making revenue. So you're literally just burning a hole in your pocket. You have the route of, giving equity to someone early, like a CTO when you're, pre-product, pre-revenue, pre-everything, just, an idea in your head. And if you do that route, you're going to have to go 50-50. So you're going to be 50 with the bonus. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's honestly like not a terrible idea to do it that way. But you're just not going to be able to move at the level of velocity that you need to. And then if you work, the third option is obviously to work with, someone like Benmore or just, a dev agency in general, to where they can take you from idea to reality much faster. You can get a couple users, kind of feel it out, get some revenue. And then if you need to bring on a proper CTO and give them equity, you're going to be a little bit more favorable in the equity split that you'll get when you have some revenue and have, a functioning product.
Yeah, so 100%. Well, I appreciate it, man. As far as where people can find you, obviously we'll leave your links down in the
Yeah.
description below. If you are a sales manager, a sales team, you run a sales organization, you think Objectionly might be a good fit for you, I think definitely go ahead and check them out. You get a 14-day free trial, right?
Yeah, everything's free trials. Like literally, we'll set it up for you. You could do a self-serve, or we'll set it up for you. Make sure you love it. Make sure everything's dialed in before you have a payment go through. So free 14-day trials, objectionly.com.
Yeah, awesome. And then if you're an angel, a VC looking to deploy some capital, hook up with your Mike's in here. We'll get that going. But I appreciate it, man. I always love you, having a conversation. So we'll keep from there.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Appreciate it.